So welcome back to First Take Math with Brian Thomas.
Today we're going to take kind of a sidebar.
We're going to work with expanded notation
in the form of decimals.
We're also going to kind of play around with some special exponents. So hopefully you can kind of see where some of these exponents may come from. So what we want to do is expand this number here, 573.68. In other words, 573 and 6800ths. So let's break this apart by place value. So we have 5 100ths, plus we have 7 10s, and then we have 3 1s. Also we have 6 tenths, so we have 6 1/10ths, and we have 8 100ths. So that's the way we can write it in a decimal expanded notation. We also can write it like this: 5 100ths plus then 7 10s plus 3 1s. We also going to have 6 1/10ths, and we could say 8 100ths. And we can kind of use what we call a fractional notation. Even a third way we can do this is using some exponent notation. We know that 100 is the same thing as 10 times 10, or 10 squared. So we write this as 5 times 10 squared. And then we have 7 times 10 to the first, plus then 3 times 10 to the... If you notice the exponents, they count down 10, 1, so 3 times 10 to the 0 would be the same thing as 3 times 1. And then we have 6 times 10, if we follow this down, 2, 1, 0. This is going to turn into a negative 1 exponent. So 1/10 is the same thing as 10 to the negative 1. And then we have 8 times 10 to the, again, if we follow it through, 2, 1, 0, negative 1. This would be a negative 2. So 10 to the negative 2. So you can use a kind of a exponent using negatives to represent 100th. So this leads us to some special exponents. One of the special exponents we pick up on is the 0 power. The 0 power actually means the same thing as 1. So what this is telling us then is anything to the 0 power will always equal 1. Another thing we have is a negative 1 as an exponent. A negative 1 essentially means to make it a fraction. So this will turn into 1 over a. Okay, so if we take that to some other examples, 7 to the 0 would mean the same thing as 1. 2 to the negative 1 means, again, make it a fraction. So it's going to be 1 over 2, or 1/2. So this is another way to express a half as 2 to the negative 1, using a negative exponent. 3 to the negative 2, again, the negative means to make a fraction, so we have 1 over 3 squared. But 3 squared is the same thing as 3 times 3. In other words, that would be 9. So 3 to the negative 2 is actually the same thing as 1/9. So if I have a to the negative 2, again, that would mean to make a fraction, 1 over a squared. And another little example, notice how this time we have the negative on the bottom of an exponent. So this actually means to bring it back to the top. So this actually stands for 5 to the 2nd power. So notice that when you undo it, since it's on the bottom, it comes to the top this time. It's no longer a negative exponent, and 5 squared would be 25. So there's a little intro into some negative exponents. Negative exponents and 0 as an exponent. And it kind of comes from some of these patterns up here that we see.